Okay, hi everybody. Bruchim habayim. Welcome to the second class in Hischazkus Hanefesh. Strength, chizuk. So, if you haven't listened to the first one, the introduction to this series, make sure to listen to that first, because it's important to have that background to understand the sefer. We're starting today the very beginning of Hischazkus Hanefesh, and we have to have that background. So, once again, why are we here? Because we know that we all need strength, and we all need chizuk, and we all have to know that what we're doing has value, and that what we're doing in life is for a purpose, and the challenges that we face are there to help us to be stronger and to help us to grow closer to Hashem. And we have to be confident with that, and we have to be there for each other, to support each other through all our difficulties, because they're all there for the beautiful purpose of us getting closer to Hashem and earning our own connection to Hashem and bringing out our potential. So the sefer starts like this. Rabbeinu says, Torah Memches in Tinyana, Likutei Moharan, Kasha Adam nichnas ba'avodas Hashem, when a person enters into avodas Hashem, meaning he makes a step towards kedusha, when you start to move and you start to move in the right direction, Azai haderech shemarin lo hischazkus. The derech is, what happens? That he is shown distance from Hashem. Right when he makes a step towards Kedusha, a person is shown distance. A person is made to feel far from Hashem. And it appears to him that they are distancing him from above. And they're not allowing this person to enter into avodas Hashem. Right? Just like the mashal that we said in the previous class. When that little baby starts to walk and he starts to take his first step, right when he starts to take his first step, what does the parent do? They step back and they back away from the child. Here too, when we start to make movement on the right path in our connection to Hashem, Hashem says, fantastic. That's just what I wanted to see. Okay? Now keep going. Keep trying. Keep working. And he steps back and gives us that space like the little baby has. Ve'emes, says Rabbeinu, in truth, kol hahisrachakus hurak kuloi hiskarvus. All of that distance that we're made to feel is really 100% hiskarvus, is really there to bring us closer. It's not distance, it's the opposite. Just like the baby. Right? Why is the parent stepping back? The purpose is not to make the child feel insecure and not to make the child fall and not to give the child pain. The whole purpose is for that child to become greater and to be able to walk. So too, that's the purpose over here. When Hashem steps back and gives us challenges, He's giving us the opportunity to grow stronger and closer to Him. That's the whole purpose. It's kuloi hiskarvus. It's all bringing closer. That's the whole point of it all. He says, "V'tzarich hischazkus gadol me'od me'od libli lipol b'daitoi." But a person needs tremendous hischazkus. A person needs strengthening. A person needs to be strong. That they should really a lot. That they should not fall in their mindset. They should not get depressed. They should not lose their footing. Chas v'shalom. When a person sees kama v'kama yomim v'shonim, many days or years, and he's trying really hard and putting in a lot of effort, in trying to get close to Hashem, divine service, avodas Hashem. Do you identify with this? Right? This is the story of everybody's life. You're trying really hard, and some people it takes years. Sometimes we go through a point in our life where we first are entering into avodas Hashem, where we spend days and years going through difficulty. And the point is, the main idea is that we cannot lose our footing, we cannot lose our strength. He says, you're still far away from Hashem. And you have not, doesn't seem that you've entered at all into the gates of holiness. Ki reya atzma shu male adayin aviyos. V'gashmiyos, v'hirhurim, v'bilbulim gedolim, because you see that you're still in this situation where you're very coarse. Coarse meaning more connected to physicality and not spirituality. And you see that you're still holding in this place of avius and in this place of gashmius. You're very pulled by the physical world and desires of the physical world, and food and sleep and television and internet and other kinds of intimate desires. You're being pulled so strongly by all these things. And your mind is wandering off into these dark places. Ubilbulim gedolim, and confusion. I don't know what's going on in the world. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know why this is happening to me. I don't know the right path. I can't see clearly what Hashem has in mind for me. I don't see what the plan is. This is something that we experience. Everything you want to do in Avodas Hashem, any holy thing, you want to get closer to Hashem in holiness. They don't let you do it. The world doesn't let you do it. The spiritual powers don't let you do it. And it appears to you that Hashem is not paying attention to you whatsoever, doesn't care about you. And Hashem doesn't want my avodah. What's wrong with my avodah? Hashem doesn't want it. Because you're screaming and you're davening and you're calling out to Hashem, falling over to help you in your avodah. And you still feel far away from Hashem. So it appears to you that Hashem doesn't care about you, and Hashem's not looking at you, and He doesn't want your avodah at all. He doesn't want you at all. So I know many people who have this feeling. And I know many people who experience this feeling from time to time. Rabbeinu's words that he wrote over 200 years ago ring true today more than ever in the past. And I'm of the belief that Rabbi Nachman wrote these words for our generation, dealing with the difficulties that we're dealing with. Every person must know that people have never faced, ever in history, the difficulties that we face now, with kefira and tuma, pritzus, all the difficulties that are going on in the world. It's impossible to find truth. Everything is unclear. It's the pulls towards spiritually impure behavior are way off the charts from what they've been in the past. You can find anything you want on the internet. Any desire that you want can be fulfilled through the internet. You can't find truth on the internet. If you look, you can find an argument, pick any argument. Pick a hot button on vaccines. Right? You can research all you want on the internet, and you can decide, I've done the research and I know that vaccines are the worst thing in the world. Or on the other side, you can say, I've done the research and I see that vaccines are the best thing in the world. And each side is going to have their truth, and no one's going to want to compromise. There is no clarity in the world anymore. Everything is confusion. And this is where we're living. So yeah, it's difficult. And if we remember the mashal that we started off with, we are in this place right now because Hashem knows that we have tremendous potential and we have tremendous depth to our souls. There's a lot down there that we can uncover and that we can bring up. And when we do that, when we uncover our greatness and our potential, we can get to the highest heights and we can get the closest to the Ribbon Shalom that anyone has ever been able to in the past. So he finishes off this paragraph by saying, Hein, al kol eile v'chayotze bazeh. With all of these things that we're talking about, tzarich hischazkus gadol lechazek atzme me'od me'od. A person needs to have tremendous hischazkus. A person needs to strengthen themselves and needs to gather all of their strength. Me'od me'od, a lot. Livli listakel akol eile klal. Not to look at this stuff, not to allow this stuff to pull me down. Ki be'emes Kol ha'Hischazkus hu rak kuloi hiskarvos kanizkar le'el, because be'emes, the truth of the matter is, the absolute truth, is that all of this that we're being shown, all of this Hischazkus, all of the distance that we feel, is only hiskarvos. It's only bringing us closer. It's only allowing us to become the people we need to be. V'chol hanizkar le'el, avar al kol tzadikim, and all of the things that we talked about here happened to all the tzadikim. The tzaddikim were not born perfect, and they didn't just have a perfect, peaceful life, some kind of pastoral countryside scene where everything's green and everyone's happy. No. Like we've heard from them. They've talked about this, the tzaddikim. The great tzaddikim went through points in their lives when they thought that Hashem was not interested in them and was not looking at them whatsoever. When they saw that for so long they were calling out to Hashem and putting in tremendous effort in their avodas Hashem, and they're still far away from Hashem. Rabbi Nachman says all the time that don't think that he got to where he got because he was born with some special talent or some special spiritual existence, that he was born a tzaddik. He says that anyone can achieve what he achieved if they put in the effort that he put in. There's a story about Rabbi Nachman that when he was a little child, he was already involved in incredible avodas Hashem. And there's a story that's told about him. I believe it's told about when he was around 6 to 7 years old, that he understood that when Shabbos comes in, that the light of Shabbos comes into the world. And so when we daven Kabbalah Shabbos Friday night and we bring Shabbos into the world, that the world is different and there's a tremendous light brought into the world. And he wanted to see this light, he wanted to feel it. So one of the stories told about him is that he got up for a while every Friday early, and he woke up and davened and did his preparations. And then right when it turned chatzos, middle of the day on Friday, he went to the mikveh and prepared himself for Shabbos and went straight to shul and spent the whole entire afternoon crying to Hashem that he wants to feel Shabbos come in. He wants to experience the light of Shabbos in a real, tangible way. And he did this over and over again until people would come into the shul and see him hiding in the corner, red-eyed, from crying that he wants to see Hashem. He wants to see Shabbos. He wants to feel the real light of Shabbos. Right? That's the effort that he put through. And many of the stories of tzaddikim are that they were dealing with darkness and difficult times. And if you hear in those times, in the era of the tzaddikim in Europe, that people who lost children went through tremendous suffering, tremendous difficulty, and were put in jail, and were fighting the governments, and were fighting pogroms, and starvation, and you name it. They went through tremendous trials, but they had Hischazkus, and they worked through it, and they gave it everything they had, and they came out to be the beacons of light through all of history, the great tzaddikim. So he says, what do they say, these tzaddikim? If it wasn't for the fact that they were mechazik themselves, that they gathered their strength, and they didn't pay attention to their difficulties, they didn't dwell on their difficulties, they would have just remained at the level they were at. Right? They never would have become the great people that we revere and that we receive so much spiritual strength from. They would have just been normal people. So this is what we face. This is where we're holding right now. And he says, we'll finish off with this a little bit. V'haklal ahuvi achi. The main principle is, my beloved, my brother, chazak ve'ematz me'oid. Strengthen yourself tremendously. Ve'echois atzmacha b'chol hakoichos, and compose yourself. Stand at a level with all of your strength, lishar kayim b'avodasecha, to remain strong to your avodah, to your path. Remain strong to what you're doing. Don't look at and don't pay attention to the stuff that we're talking about. And if you feel very far from Hashem, and you feel that mamish every hour, every moment, you're paygame, you're blemishing, you're doing negativity against Hashem. Even with all this, know that this person who's so megusham, who's become so connected to Gashmis, so stuck in physicality and materialism, this person who's megusham kol kach, this is one of the most important points. Kol tanua utanua shu menatek atzmo me'at min hagashmius u'pon el Hashem yisborach. Every single little movement that this person, that we make towards Hashem, every little tiny movement that I pull myself out of materialism and out of physicality and out of negativity and out of physical desires and out of anger and whatever my negativity is, every little movement I make away from that towards Hashem is the utmost value in the upper worlds. The angels are making a party. Hashem is getting tremendous nachas from that one move. That means if I'm fighting something, if I'm fighting a difficulty in my behavior, and if whatever it is, pick your issue. If it's physical desires, if it's emotional desires, right? If it's getting angry, if it's looking at things on the internet that I shouldn't look at, if it's sleep, if it's being lazy, right? Whatever it is, if I delay that for 1 minute, if I have a desire to partake of something that I shouldn't partake of, and I push it back 1 minute, I say no, I'm pushing this back because I want to be close to Hashem. That 1 minute is tremendously valuable to Hashem and is a tremendous move for that person. Even a tiny little point, that you pull yourself out from Gashmias and go towards Hashem. A little movement. That move, which is one little point in Olam Hazeh, is like running for miles and miles towards Hashem in the upper worlds. One of the stories brings an example, brings a mashal of a type of a wheel. That if you see a big wheel, right, a large wheel that spins. So if you have a point that's right close to the middle of the wheel, and when the wheel turns, it goes by a millimeter at a time, a little tiny circle. Just maybe it's moving 1 millimeter. But at the end of the wheel, that 1 millimeter movement is maybe 10 centimeters. Right? And if you expanded that out even further, when people are studying trajectory, that means 1 little tiny millimeter off. If you're aiming, let's say, a gun, or if you're doing survey work, 1 millimeter off at the beginning could be miles off at the other end. So too here, one little movement towards Kedusha in this world, and taking ourselves away from Gashmias, from physicality, from negativity, is a huge move in the upper spiritual worlds in an unbelievable way. And with this, you should have tremendous simcha, you should have tremendous happiness, and you should strengthen yourself with happiness all the time. Because being negative and feeling depression about these things is the worst thing that a person can do. Right when a person wants to enter into serving Hashem and to bettering themselves, right at that point, it's a tremendous avera. It's a transgression. It's negative. It's the worst thing a person can do is to fall into depression. Before anyone gets angry, I'm not talking about that kind of depression. Chas v'shalom. Ki atzvus hi sitra achra, because depression, mara shechoira, negativity, is from the other side. It doesn't come from kedusha. It doesn't come from holiness. V'Hashem yisbarach soina oisa. Hashem hates it. right? So what's the Hischazkus from today? Is that we have to know that when we face all this stuff, we have to remember what we're here for. We have to remember what we're doing. And we have to remember that all the tzaddikim went through this. And we know many people who have gone through difficulty and have fought and have been strong and have come out a new person on a whole different level, right? We know people who have felt like this. I have felt like this at different times in my life. Tremendous growth, right? And we have to know that every single little movement that we make, even though it's little, it's one step I made to remove myself from negativity, to remove myself from bad behavior. That one step is miles and miles in the Elamas Al-Yonim, in the spiritual realms. We have to know that this is our purpose, that Hashem put us here, and we can do it. And we have to have simcha and happiness that Hashem is giving us this opportunity. And every movement that we make is bringing us closer to Him. Breslov Hashem will continue with this idea in the next session as well. Shkoyach to everybody. Be strong, be full of simcha. We're all here together, working through these issues, and we should together fulfill our potential and mamash get as close to Hashem as we possibly can.